Hello, innovators, and welcome to another episode of the Heitland Show, where I connect the dots of innovation and entrepreneurship with my guests. Today's guest is innovation expert with a huge experience from consulting, startups, and large organizations. He's the head of innovation at Mutualidad, Abogacía, and seed investor at BackFund. Ivan shares his story, and we talk corporate innovation, mental adaptation, and how corporates can work with startups. Please welcome to the show, Ivan Jimenez. Hello, Ivan. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hello, Jens. Thank you so much to share this space for me and to talk about innovation. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward. Um, it's going to be fun because we have a similar upbringing. It's like having done a lot of different jobs and ending up in corporate innovation. So I'm really eager to learn and share your story. Before we go into, of course, corporate innovation, startup ecosystems, and as well investing, one of your new topics, let's let's talk about yourself, Slow. Who are you, and how did you get to where you are today?
I suppose many people are involved in innovation is very similar to my reality. So at the beginning, maybe 12 years ago, I began working as consultancy firm. Bit by bit, I am trying to work in a corporate. The first time was in Ferrovial, in an industry connected with infrastructure. I work transforming the way of connecting technology with final users. I'm moving my career to collaborating with startups in the world of infrastructure, motorways, services, because Ferrovial is a large corporation and try to connect everything. After passing a brief of time to have more curiosities to connect another industry and to move in the insurance sector, I work in a venture company. It's connected with different type of sector industry. The first telemarketing, digital marketing, consultancy, and the last one is insurtech venture. I decided to move in another sector similar to insurtech, to mutual fund. In this mutual fund are trying to accelerate and progressing innovation environment, connecting new startup, new technologies, transforming our core system, was upgrading my role, trying to modify my capabilities to work in different environments, different sector. At the beginning, typically in public sector. In the second part of my career, working in infrastructure sector, completely different. In the next step and level, working in Insurtech, and the final in the wealth management environment. So I am working, trying to protect the savings of legal sector. Employees who work in the legal sector are saving their money in our mutual fund. We try to implement new solution according to micro savings, PSD2, new technologies are connecting with fintech environment to insurance. So I am working in many aspects related to accelerate the process of innovation in the wealth environment, in particular in Mutualidad Abogacía right now.
Yeah, awesome. So, I mean, working in so many different industries, what are the things where you say you learned in one industry and used then in the next industry? Do you have specific examples?
Yeah. Completely agree. The first and the first conclusion is sometimes we try to apply tools and methodologies in the same way, right? So it's like many consumer or enterprises like to buy frameworks, methodologies to solve needs and problems, but it's not the way of solving your way of approaching a new solution. Typically, it's very common. You are able to use lean startup or agile methodology to implement new solution, but it's not something very easy to apply in this manner. It's very important to have assessment about your capabilities. If you are able for your business to implement different aspect of and benefits of different type of methods. At the end, in particular, it's very, very important to understand the process of learning and learning, the both, right? So it's not only to try to copy and paste, because it's not the solution to try to implement solution in the field of innovation. It's like, okay, my capabilities is that. I have leverage to accelerate the process of adopting innovation in this manner. But the more important thing is, okay, training, because it's a question of training, especially training your mindset, because the mindset is the first aspect to try to modify, because it's not a question of only the failure. It's a question of accept to learn very fast, but to fail not highly. The reason is, okay, nobody likes to make fails, so it's completely very normal. But the more important thing is, okay, I am able to learn very fast, to use different type of techniques, method, but not in particular very standardized. You need to adapt in your ecosystem. And maybe it's the best recipe to implement innovation in your company. To be flexible, to integrate the knowledge for outside. Maybe is for me is the probably is the key of something is working. If you are able, you don't have enough knowledge inside in your company. Outside, there are many resources, talent, enterprises are able to collaborate with you very well. So it's the best manner of adopting opportunities and to get a new manner of exploration.
Yeah. If we take this, in my experience working in large corporate, it's not just the innovation team that needs to get this knowledge. It's also like you kind of need to spread the knowledge into the total organization slowly, step by step. How was that in your experience, or is in your experience?
The innovation is not linear, right? It's not a question of you're very incremental, because the process of mentally adoption, because it's probably is the key of everything, is maybe the key, according to the process, is not incremental adoption, is because the model of incentives in company is not completely aligned, right? For example, typically the CEO is very well motivated to implement a model of innovation because he has a lot of ideas, or he has connecting with the environment. He recognizes the world is changing, the consumer are changing, and they need it to change, right? But on the other hand, you have the 3 level of board. They have another type of incentives, bonus, another type of pairs. So another worries, because sometimes you are receiving a salary to pay the private university for your children, for your kids. So it's not the same. You are trying to balance the risks and to balance the problem of bit by bit betting in innovation environment. So it's a difficult question, because sometimes it's not linear. It's very important to find the moment and to evolve bit by bit, to detect key resources to collaborate in a complicated, non natural environment, because innovation is not a natural environment.
Yeah.
People normally decide not to take risks. It's our manner of protecting our comfort zone is the best way. I have a good reputation, I have a good salary, the company is working very well. Why is going to move in this space in uncertainty level? You don't have the aware of doing something. So it's complicated. For this reason, the model incentive to try to search synergies with the collaborator, because you are going to find collaborator and fighters. It's the manner of evolving our society. Some people are collaborating, another one is fighting, but in the balance, it's possible to advance. So the corporate is the same. So it's sometimes, for this reason, innovation is complicated to implement in a no DNA innovator natural manner, right?
Yeah. So if you let's assume you're starting in a new organization. So there's an organization which is, I don't know, 20 years old, and they would ask you to help them to do innovation. So you come in as head of innovation or whatever. How would you help an organization to get started?
It's a good question, because in my last company, Mutualidad Abogacía, has the same challenge. The first is to try to detect the level of adoption of taking risks, because sometimes it's like, it's not the same if your company is surfing in a wave of everything is fine, the business is increasing bit by bit, they don't have problems. You need to convince many people in different part of the business unit to try to accelerate the change, right? So the first is to detect people are able to promote the idea of implementing new solution. In particular, incremental solution working very well, because it's aligning with the objective of the C-level, right?
Yeah.
What is the problem in general? Because incremental is like the benefit or the advantage to implement something is very in the short term. So, okay, it's the first way of implementing something, but you only are acquiring, or you are getting confident with others to increase a better relationship, and to try to change the mind of people to adopt new collaborators, right? The CEO, many conversations with the CEO, because the CEO is the engine of changing. If the CEO is confident of changing the environment of the company, it's very possible of promoting and capturing people are trying to involve in the change. Maybe it's the two key, but and in the third is to work the culture. But the culture is typically a word very difficult to describe, because the culture is something very slower to change. The reason is the culture you said, no? The company, 20 years old, they have many members inside, are adopting the culture in the long term. So you need in the short term to change many things. So when something is exploded outside of in the company, it's like it's emerging something. It's easy to try to convince the rest of people, but the company is working very well, and the majority of people are involved in the same place, in the same role for a long time. You need to work in having coffees, many conversation, in this middle of the corridor, you need to talk with them. So it's a question of to be patient and to try to show something is happening outside. So because if you are not able to detect opportunities and to convince is the path of pursuing something, is
Mm.
very difficult. But maybe the CEO is the most important role inside of the company to transform the mentality. Because if you are working with a CEO are completely convincing to change the atmosphere of the company, is definitely is the right path of transforming the mentality of the workers.
Yeah. What I like very much, because I'm thinking in the same way, you have started to describe all of the different topics with it's about the people, like mindset, working. You didn't start with, hey, we need to implement new processes. It's more about how do you get connected to the people, get closer to them, have coffee chats, of course, convince the CEO and be with the CEO. Um, but it's all about kind of connecting to the different people. It's not about, hey, let's take this process from Google or from somewhere else and implement it. It's really about the people.
Completely agree. The reason is you are dealing with people.
Mm.
They are thinking with uh, his pain, their pains, their blockers, problems, whatever, many things. So you need to understand the environment because it's a question of social research
Yeah.
and to try to detect the motivation. Because for the reason, when I try to describe in a previous question about
Mm.
the incentives is everything. Because if you are completely comfortable, you don't have any motivation to move in a certain place. What is the reason you are going to try to collaborate with the strained resources in the innovation department? Because it's like I don't understand what do you say. So what is the reason to do something? You need to connect the motivation and incentives with that. In other cases, it's very complicated to advance in a future step, because it's like, because your if the business unit is working very well, it's very complicated to modify the mindset, because the normal rule is to work in a same manner. It's working for many years. That great. Every 5 years, we try to implement a new software, or to try to analyze touch point. It's very normal because it's working very well.
Mm.
But sometimes you are not detecting in your chain of value are impacting many startup are implementing startup or inclusive enterprises trying to use technology in the best way of changing the way of collaborating and understanding the consumer.
Yeah.
So for this reason, in all the aspects related to in your company, it's very important to understand the way of impacting something is happening outside. But the beginning is conversation, because it's the beginning of everything. Positive conversation, because sometimes it's okay. You have a different motivation, you have a bonus, perfectly. We try to find the balance between both, because probably I am thinking in 5 years, 10 years. Okay, maybe it's so long for you, but probably in the some terms there are measure alternatives to bit by
Mm.
bit changing your mindset.
Yeah. Agree. It's way easier to go in and when it's really tough and it's not working well, then you can come in and people are interested in innovating. It's way harder when a business goes well. I would love to you spoke about startups because you have been working with startups and ours as well, investing into it. But I would like to take a little bit the perspective of how and does it make sense for a corporation like a company to work with startups on an ongoing base, or what are your thoughts on that?
So in general, the collaboration or the manner of understanding and the startups and corporation sometimes is complicated for many reasons. It's not something related to methodologies. It's like the fast-paced environment are surviving. Many startups need a different manner of understanding and collaboration. The first typical question: you need to sign a contract with a startup. Maybe in the funnel of converging many opportunities for this startup, maybe they have many opportunities conversating with many enterprises, but they need to be confident, to have an open conversation, and to accelerate the process of signing something. Because if you are not interested to formalize or to sign a contract, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's they are trying to follow another opportunities, exploring new markets, but it's very important to focus on solving something. It's like very practical, executive. So it's like, okay. And the second part is when you need to pay a startup.
Yeah.
In many places, in particular in Spain, the normative or the rule to pay invoices is very flexible. For is small enterprises is very critical, because it's like the period of time is like you are not able to postpone in a long term. So it's very important you pay on time. It's very important to sign something. So this type of rule, typical normal rule, because it's like very normal to try to understand something very simple to explain, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes the complicated is it's not only about methodology. I am working in lean startup with agile. It's not about that. It's about to try to understand. You have a different level of position in the hierarchy. You need to approach, because with this contract, you need to probably is the opportunity to save opportunity, or is pivoting in a new opportunity. So the meaning for the company, for the startup in this collaboration is completely different according to in the large enterprise. The
Yeah.
reason, because the risk is not comparable.
Yeah. I agree with the payment. I still remember I was working in Russia, and we did an acceleration program and work with the startups, and there was like a payment discussion. And normal payment terms at that time, I think it was like plus 30 days and sometimes 60 days. And one of the CEOs of the startup says, "Hey, in 30 days I can be bankrupt if you are not paying," because it was large payments. And it's like when you work in such a huge corporation, it's like, yeah, it's no problem. But it's like so different worlds where it's like, hey, I have no food on the table if you don't pay me within the next 10 days. And on the other hand, it's like, yeah, if we don't pay you for 2 years, I don't care. So it's really kind of talking to the CFO of the big corporation and then talking to the CEO of the startups, like, hey, we need to find a middle way somehow. It's
But
not going to work.
maybe completely, Jens. It's completely understandable, your explanation, and very specific. So I suppose it's a question of empathy, because sometimes it's not a problem. Or I try to protect my business. I want to postpone the payment. No, it's a question of I don't understand what is the privilege of working in a corporate.
Yeah,
And the difference is
exactly.
working in something is completely a seat idea, and need to collaborate in a different manner, and they need many hands of supporting the business. So uh, the payment is basic to survive, and it's very similar to when you try to extend a project. Okay, you have a scope, and something is not working very well for different reasons, because sometimes it's very difficult to have a perfect approach.
Mm.
If you extend this approach with the same level of uncertainty, and you are not increasing the price of the services, probably you are exhausting the business are providing the service of the product. It's very normal. So it's a question of to try to understand the situation. For the reason the Department of Open Innovation in large corporate is very important to try to create this synergy, to explain very well the accounting department. Okay, you need to pay something when you are collaborating with another department in operation or human resources or whatever. Okay, you need to understand. So in this, it's true, you need to be demanding, because okay, all the people need to be demanding to implement the best solution. But sometimes you need to, when something is necessary to be flexible or to be strict according to the situation and the context, because the context of the first years of startup is very critical. So it's not the same you are in a round C round or something like that, because you are not a startup, you are something bigger than many corporates. But when you are in the first stage, you need to collaborate with them to understand very well the situation. So for this reason, the open innovation is very important to have these synergies and conversation with startups.
You're basically a translator between these different worlds.
Completely agree.
So if we go into investing, so one of the new activities you have taken on is being an investor, and a business angel. Tell us a little bit more about how did you get into this and what excites you in that.
So it's so exciting to have the opportunity to collaborate with BackFund. BackFund is a venture capital in Spain. We are trying to accelerate the adoption of seed startup at the beginning of the process of our emerging ideas. You have a deck and something like that. And we are searching incredible teams to promote and to support great projects. And so this opportunity to collaborate in BackFund emerging because the ecosystem is growing very fast in Spain. There are many people working in open innovation, venture capitals, venture builders, inclusive people, successful people are working in startup, are motivated to support other colleagues deciding to promote new projects. So Batan is a perfect place to are connected with the environment of innovation. In particular, with a project are completely emerging because sometimes it's very complicated, and there are many experts in the field of investing in large and round B, round C startup. But sometimes it's more difficult to affect to obtain investment, to get money, to step by step building your new project, because sometimes you need to have a MVP, not only your deck and presentation. You need something more to explain and to try to sell it. So it's great. For me, it's fantastic because it's like in particular to seed investor, to grow it in the community. In my case, supporting when my expertise is enough to give ideas or to check something. In another cases, in the funnel of capturing new startups, I am good connected with startups, so it's perfectly a place to try to detect new opportunities. And the last choices is bit by bit working in the thesis of investing. So it's very important to understand why something multiply by 10 or by 5. In these cases, to try to check a sex project with expert, because in particular we have two expert are managing this project in BackFund. So they are incredible managers. So it's perfect. So for me, it's like to be embedded in this program, to embed it in other ecosystem. So it's perfect to have this opportunity to talk about BackFund new projects. So this platform is perfect to receive opportunities for people are watching this podcast. So it's nice. It's nice.
And the good thing is, because you have such a wealth of knowledge, like doing consulting, understanding technology, and then growing into corporate innovation. So you have been on different stages and different companies. So you can help the startups as well to understand things from different perspectives. Like you said, with the or we said, with the translation between the different departments in an organization, you can help a startup as well to understand, hey, when you work with this corporation, it's not going as fast as you can decide. Sometimes it takes 3 months before it even goes to the CEO or to someone who is taking decisions. Like, you can give them the understanding, and as well then, like you said in the beginning, the patience of, hey, this is how this world works, and this is how you can engage with the corporates if they're in the B2B sector at least.
Yeah, yes. So in particular, I like to highlight the aspect of consultant. The reason is because in many cases, many people are working in consultancy firms. At the end, they try to set up a new project. It's very normal. The reason is because you are very good connecting with the real challenge of the market. So you are understanding in a different manner something is happening in enterprises, in the market, in the industry. So it's perfect. In my case, it's very similar too, because after passing for many departments, in particular in technology and consultancy firms, you are connecting different barriers, challenge, block are happening. You are able to connect things. If something is happening inside, probably is impacting in a different way. So for the reason, incremental solutions, or in particular startup, are deploying solution in a specific part of the chain of value, have a lot of worth. The reason is you are very flexible, you have a technology, you understand very well the customer centricity. Okay, it's perfect. Something is a plugin, it's not very complicated to integrate because they understand very well the connection between different departments. So yeah, completely. So when you are working in consultant, like a consultant, is something very relevant according to try to understand something is happening in a specific market. Inclusive when you are working in different industries, inclusive is more important because you are able to move different ideas from something is happening in some places to another places. So
yeah, that's hugely valuable. I see that myself as well. I have been working in so many different industries over the last 20 years. You can take things from the construction industry into the banking, which you normally would never do. But it's like, yeah, of course, there's a solution to a problem you have, and you can't just see it because you're not seeing the other industries.
yeah.
So getting us into the last part of the podcast, where I'm asking questions a little bit disconnected from our discussion until now. First question is, if you can work with a project that's impacting every human being on earth, what project would you work with and why?
It's very very interesting because sometimes is something is spreading in many sources, according to many people involved in innovation are talking about positive impact in innovation, right? Inclusive, there are some frameworks are talking about the four field you need to check according to your project: feasibility, viability, according to the experience, and the last one is according to connecting with the environment, the positive impact in social responsibility. So yeah, it's a good question. There are many projects right now are trying to connect this trend. For example, all the aspect related to the energy, trying to avoid coal footprint or similar to, or gas footprint or something like that. They are trying to change alternative to generate different manner of moving in a different aspect related to connecting in a positive environment, right? So green environment. So I don't have any preference about any project, but in particular, there are many projects today. They are trying to invest in many resources to try to change the future of our planet. In particular, in the sector of energy, they are changing many things. Probably, I don't know about the future, but many people are talking about solar energy. Other people are talking about hydrogen energy. For example, in Spain, different experts they are talking about different level of conversation. What kind of energy is more sustainable? Because, for example, the network of electricity is very complicated to try to provide for many cars. So probably the hydrogen energy is a good alternative to balance the supply chain. So I don't know. There are many projects, but in particular, there are many people involved to try to change this world. And it's important, very important to try to share this type of project, to try to invest money in there and to try to promote. In European Union, maybe it's a reference to try to modify the way of consuming energy. Maybe in the future is a good place to try to be a reference for the rest of the world. It's possible to change something like that.
Yeah. Next question. How do you keep yourself up to date on the topics that interest you?
I am very interesting to understand in a different manner, because I'm not an investor in bitcoins, in Ether, or something like that. But I'm very interested to understand the way is working, the manner of interactive different alternative of decentralize the economy, right? The reason is because it's emerging many ideas, it's exploiting, because typically when something is not completely new, but maybe in the last 5-6 years is emerging very quickly. But in the same way, something is happening in other projects is dying, because it's very normal in innovation environment, is very typical. So I am very interested to understand, because this sometimes is very complicated. It's so fast. There are many aspects according to understand new coins, new model of incentives, because sometimes it's why the model of incentives is better Cardano than another type of cryptocurrency. Sometimes for me it's very complicated, because you need to dive very in a manner very focusing on something very understandable.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's for me typically is something I try to understand, but I'm a completely beginner in the field of cryptocurrency. Is
Yeah. It's super complicated.
yeah,
I'm still trying to figure it out as well. I mean, it's super interesting. I agree. But really getting into that is not that easy because it takes a lot of time, which we of course don't have.
I typically work in another type of industry. For me, it's more understandable to try to understand another type of technologies, but in particular,
Mm,
all the aspect related to understand this emerging, because probably is something is going to change our environment. Nobody
yeah.
knows when it's going to happen. It's very complicated to put in your calendar the due date. Is something is to change,
Yeah.
but it's modifying many aspects according to enterprises, society, the way of relationship, the way it's moving money. So for me, it's something in particular I need in my depth to try to understand better. In the future, probably, I don't know, to be investor similar to in BackFund.
Yeah.
I don't know, but but it's very important to understand, to try to have a opinion about something. But in particular,
Yeah.
I think it's something very interesting to understand and to observe and to follow many people or in social media is explaining very well this field.
Yeah. I agree. So how can people reach out to you and contact you?
Oof. Uh, many. It's a good question. I follow. I usually try to have relationship with people are involved in innovation, but not only in innovation, because
Mm,
it's something very um, interesting to be connected in different manner. But uh, I follow many podcasts just now to try to understand not only something about innovation, about everything, because sometimes
yeah.
it's like you're able to connect ideas from different fields. On the other hand, try to follow people, writers, or people usually publish on internet, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. So there are many people interesting around the world explaining many things. For example, it's very difficult, but because I am a normal people, so a normal person. So, for example, I follow Elon Musk. It's not something very peculiar. It's more important to try to follow people more than relevant than others. For example, there are many people
Yeah.
very close
Agree.
to you. For example, Jens, you have a many experience in many fields, so there are many people very close to your environment, and it's very positive to be in contact, to understand. So um, I don't have any special people I am following,
Mm,
but I think so. It's more important to have in your network people very interesting to check, to read, to understand. People are is writing incredible newsletter right now, explaining many aspects about
mm,
human behaviors, about innovation, about energy, nuclear energy. So about if you are interested in the industry of cars. So it's incredible. Nowadays, there are many people expert explaining many things in social media. So for me, it's the more important thing, because you have many information for expert. You are able
mm.
to read every week in your email, in your social media. So it's perfect.
Yeah. And if someone wants to follow you, what is the best social media platform to follow you
Uh,
or write
I
to you?
usually I usually post on LinkedIn. but in particular, it's something personal branding, because I like it very much to promote news, ideas, something I detect searching something. So I like it on LinkedIn, but in particular, I love it Twitter, because it's the manner of discovering the opinion of people. Because sometimes some social media are the filter of opinion is a little bit different. LinkedIn is only to explain you have a normal, no positive and negative opinions. It's very normal. All the people try to post something, but in Twitter you detect people are interfering in a position, explaining something, describing threat of different themes. So it's probably for me it's more it's richer Twitter than LinkedIn. The reason of, for my capacity of understanding new fields, Twitter is perfect.
Yeah, I agree. Awesome. Ivan, thank you very much for taking your time and being on this show. It was a pleasure talking with you and learning from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jens. It was fantastic conversation to have this space to share experience with many people are involved in innovation. It's fantastic. Spreading ideas. So thank you, Jens.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. You will find the links and resources in the show notes of this episode. If you would like to support the podcast, the most impactful thing you can do is subscribing to the show on any of the podcasting platforms and give me a review. This will help me to reach more innovators around the world and bring some of you into the show. If you have any question to the guest or want to engage with me, feel free to reach out to me on social media and contact me there.